Hello and welcome to another session of SUSECon 23. Today we'll be talking about streamlining compliance with OpenSCAP and SUSE Manager. So today's agenda, give you real quick, we're going to talk about who we are, what compliance is, what is SCAP, OpenSCAP, compliance check, and how we're going to do it with SUSE Manager, talk about some policies, the data files, and then we'll jump into a demo. So here we are today. My name is Patrick. My counterpart, Abid, will be doing the demo for us today. We are your team, and if you have any questions, by all means, you've got our emails here. You can reach out to us at any time. So exactly what is compliance? Let's talk about that for a second. Compliance basically is referring to or adhering to a set of mandated boundaries, whether they be laws and regulations or they be voluntary boundaries, your own company's policies, procedures, etc., where you're adhering to that mandated boundary, okay? And then adhering to the voluntary boundaries. That's the larger definition, from Wikipedia, what is compliance, okay? And so that's what we're going to kind of work around today, that idea of what compliance is. SCAP, on the other hand, so what is it? Okay, SCAP is a security content automating protocol. That's the SCAP. It's a NIST standard. It's a specification for expressing and manipulating security data in a standardized way. Okay, it uses several individual specifications in concert with automation to continuously monitor, look at vulnerability management, security policy compliance and evaluation, and then with reporting so you know exactly how things are looking in your environment. So why do we use SCAP? Why would anybody need SCAP, this particular way of doing it? Well, again, it's all about compliance with laws and policies, whether it be governmental laws or your own company's policies. And there's lots of different profiles, and we're going to talk about profiles more. But we provide there's several policies that are part of SCAP, whether it be CIS, the STIG, DISA, and then several others. Okay. And for example, one of the things you might look for, like disabling SSH root access, right? Or enforcing an SE Linux policy, or, other lots of variety of things, like mandating a specific SSH banner when somebody logs in, or lots of other areas that you want to check on your system. These are just some of the examples that we can do with SCAP and the SCAP policies. So now OpenSCAP, how do we go about that? Well, like all things SUSE related, we are open source company, right? And so we're going to open source. We provide the open source side of SCAP. OpenSCAP is a project that provides a wide variety of hardening guides and configuration baselines. It's developed by the open source community, of which, again, SUSE is part of, ensuring you can choose that policy that best suits your needs in your organization, regardless of the size, whether it be a tiny 3 or 4 system size or to mega thousands of systems, right? OpenSCAP can scan and provide you that guidance across the environment. SUSE is an active maintainer, contributor to the SCAP profiles, and you can find those at this link below on GitHub. Compliance is code, okay? So the SCAP content is delivered in a couple of formats, the XCCDF, in OVAL, and the source data stream formats. These are all formats you can use within the OpenSCAP engine, okay? The SCAP security guides, the compliance is code. They provide security policies and remediation scripts, whether they may be Ansible scripts, they may be Bash shell scripts. You can also create your own using Salt as well. And SUSE is a continuous provider of security, of the SCAP security guide package, all for the different OpenSCAP profiles, okay? Again, part of SUSE's adherence to open source, we provide that upstream into the compliance as code. So how does SUSE Manager work with OpenSCAP? How did they work together in concert? Well, again, we're going to work in concert with that OpenSCAP policy to ensure you're doing this remote scan, evaluating from a single location, to make sure that all the systems, whether it be one system or hundreds of thousands of systems, whether it be large deployments or small deployments, we can do that all within OpenSCAP with SUSE Manager. And SUSE Manager for large deployments, obviously, is right up front. Foreman, Red Hat Satellite's another, or other tools that can be used. For smaller deployments, you can use the OpenSCAP Workbench. We're going to see example of here in a second, the OpenSCAP daemon, and of course, OpenSCAP SSH can be done. With SUSE Manager, though, we use the OpenSCAP to implement the specifications using the XCCDF, the Extensible Configuration Checklist description format. It's a lot of, that's a lot of words. It's a standard way of expressing a checklist of content to define your security checklist. Okay, and that's what we use inside of SUSE Manager. We use that within the data stream that pulls in the specific XCCDF profile that you want to use. And it verifies the presence of patches using the content provided by the SUSE security team. So let's talk about policies for a second. So in this example, we're looking at this screenshot from the OpenSCAP Workbench. It's a graphical policy editor. It allows you to, see what the default policy is for the one you've picked. In this example, I'm looking at the CIS profile for SLES 15. And I can checkbox and discheck and uncheck and add things to this policy, okay? And what it's going to create from that, it's not going to edit the original. What it's going to do is create what we call a tailoring file, and we're going to talk about that more in a second. But this gives you the ability, you can see the example, maybe the default policy wants you to install aid. Well, maybe we don't care whether aid's installed. We have another tool for that, right? So we can uncheck aid, so it's not, the policy doesn't check for that. So it doesn't give us a false failure because we're not going to check for that anyway. So these are some examples we can do within the OpenSCAP Workbench, okay, the graphical editor. And then we can take that policy and add it to our tailoring file. And so we can use these tailoring files, which are the changes that we've made that are customized to go along with the original, and then the tailoring files will override the original policy to meet our needs without rewriting the original. Again, we're not going to touch the original. We're just adding these tailoring files on top. So we can take these default rules and policies and that are not relevant to some of our systems, or some of them they are, some of them they're not. We can create these individual tailoring files based upon those needs. We can then add or drop new or existing rule or policies as needed using these tailoring files. Okay, so it's extremely customizable to your specific needs within what you're trying to do within your company. So now I'm going to pass this on over to Abid. He's going to do a demo for us and show us what we're doing with OpenSCAP and SUSE Manager and a live example here. So take it away.
Thank you, Patrick, for a brief but very good overview about OpenSCAP. I'm sure this is going to help our audience with the next part of this session. Hi everyone, my name is Abid and I will take you through the second part of this session. Before going to the demo, I would like to state that OpenSCAP integration has been part of SUSE Manager for quite some years now. Patrick even had a session last year about this one, where he showed how you can make use of SUSE Manager to make your life easier, especially where you have hundreds or thousands of systems to manage. Now, in this year, we have decided to again have session around this topic, mainly because we are making some significant changes around this topic that would make it more secure and also more user-friendly. So now let's jump back to the session. I have SUSE Manager here installed. And as you can see that here, I have a couple of machines already onboarded. I will pick the first one, which is SLES 15 SP5. Now, the very first change that you will see from the previous years is that you don't need to install any security SCAP security guide package. Everything will reside on the server. As you see, they are not installed. What does it mean is really that we will have a single source of truth. It's more secure, so a user cannot just change some XML files. Well, at the end, all of these SCAP security guide content is XML files, and there is a possibility that one can change those files to give the false results. In this case, since everything will reside on server, so we have more security. So that's one thing that has been changed. There's no need to provide any content or install any content on the system, but everything will be residing on the server, and we will move to the client whenever we will need it. The second part that we have changed is really the user experience, the UI. Previously, it was free forms and user needed to know the location of all the content on all of these systems in order to make it work. Now, that's not very hard, but it's still tricky. It's still tricky to know the location because on all of these distributions, location is a bit different. So it was a bit of a challenge that we wanted to fix it. And with this change, we really think that this is going to help user a lot. Now, if you will go here and on the audit tab and then schedule scan, you will see that the very first drop-down list has all the content. All of these content list that you see here is resides on a server in a particular directory. You could extend this by copying whatever content you have to that particular directory, and you will see all of those contents here as well. Since SUSE Manager supports all of these different distributions, and that's one of its core strength, you could also see that part here as well. You can see that there we have all the content related to CentOS, Debian, Fedora, Oracle Linux, OpenSUSE, RHEL, you name it. In this particular case, since I have /15 SP client, I will select /15 and then I'll go and select the profile /stig. I won't be selecting any tailoring file, but we will do it in the next step. I'll just simply schedule it this time. That action has been scheduled. We will just go check its progress. It hasn't been picked up yet by Taskomatic. So we will give it a couple more seconds. Hopefully it will work. You know how it works with the live demos. Yeah, it's kind of that. So in the meanwhile, before it is finished or just keep you wait, all of these changes that you see here, they are in progress. We aren't done yet, and they will be delivered with the next major version of SUSE Manager that will be 5.0, scheduled to be released next year, 2024, around June or so. But you could already try these features in our upstream project called Uni. Okay. In the meanwhile, the action has been picked up, as you can see here as well. I'll just do a couple of refreshes just in case if something has been changed. Give it a minute. Okay, so this has been successful. Let's go back to the audit tab. You see here that by default, there is 24% compliance for this particular system, the minion that I have. You see different kind of stats here. 58 has been passed, 157 has been failed, and all of this detail. If you go here, you could also see all the results, what has been passed, what has been failed. You could, of course, you could all, you can see here the option to remediate as well. I will get to that part as well in the next section. And there is option to remediate all of them. You could also download results, but this has been part of this has been part of SUSE Manager for quite some time, so there isn't anything new around this part. I'll go back again and let's make use of trailing file. As Patrick mentioned, the trailing file is really to modify all of this content according to your needs. You don't need all of them, or maybe you need even more what you get by default in these profiles. So since we don't have any trailing file here, I'll go back and under Audit tab and then OpenSCAP, you will see here a trailing file option. Now here, you could just create a trailing file. The trailing file itself, I created with Workbench because it was easier, but you could use any tool of your choice. SUSECon 2023, I give it a name. I choose the file. It's a trailing file. It's a very minimal, just to show you for a demo purpose. I upload this file. You will notice that, yeah, in the past, it was still possible to provide the trailing files, but you had to upload all of these trailing files on the clients, and that you could do it through configuration channels. Now, it was possible, but we thought that it wasn't ideal user experience, and we wanted to improve that. So that's one thing that we have changed as well. Now let's go back to our system on this particular minion. Go here and let's schedule another scan. I'll again go select 15 and then the profile that we selected last time. And to show you the changes, uh, that how trailing file works, I will select this one and then the profile in that particular trailing file. I will keep the time as default, so I'll schedule it immediately. Now I'll just schedule it. Hopefully this time it will take less time than before. So let's go back. Yeah, it has been already picked up. We are a bit lucky here. Um, it's getting executed on the client. Let's give it a couple more seconds. Okay, this has been successful. So let's go back to the audit tab. Now you see here the compliance has been 88%, but you see here that, yeah, our rules, we selected just a subset of the all the rules, and that's why it has been the compliance level has been increased. So 7 has been passed, 1 has been failed, and rest of them we didn't select. If you go here again, you see remediate all of them, and it would try to remediate, but you also see which particular action has been failed, which became the reason to not have 100% compliance. So in this case, we had 88% compliance, and now we want to remediate thing. Now that's the good part. Again, this is another change. Before, you could remediate from SUSE Manager, but you had to do and go manually go through the remote commands and copy the script, or you could execute your state files or from the configuration channel as well. In this case, we have made it a bit more flexible for the user. So this particular action has been failed, or the rule, I would say, in better words. I go here in this role, and you see here that, yeah, there is a remediation script provided by the vendor or our OpenSCAP, our open source community. So in this case, we have the remediation. Now there is option to update remediation. There are some rules where you don't have remediation, for example. So in that case, you could actually add, if you know a bit of scripting, you could add that script here, and it will be saved. Or you could apply that remediation as is. So in this particular case, yeah, I will just go ahead and apply the remediation. It has been scheduled. And let's see how it should take less time. Yeah, that's for sure, because it's not a very heavy task. So as you see here, the script was successful. Remediation has been applied. So now let's go and schedule another scan just to see that, yeah, if this remediation really has worked. So I'll go back, select our /15 SP5, not SP5, /15 SCAP content. I will select our STIG profile. I will select our configuration or trailing file, and then our profile. I'll schedule the scan again, keeping my fingers crossed that hope it will be faster. So it has been picked already by our Taskomatic, and it's currently executing. It's usually a heavy task, so it could take some seconds. Okay, it has been successful. So let's go back here, and you see it worked. Now we have 100% compliance because we already applied the remediation for the rule that diverged from that diverged from the stated state. So now everything is fine according to that trading file rules that we selected, and system is already compliant how we would like to. Now, one thing that I would like to state here is that, yeah, currently, as you see here, it's a bash script, but we also might be extending it to our Ansible playbooks, or there would be option, if you have a salt state, that you could also execute that part. But by default, for now, we'll be only parsing this bash script that you could apply. So this was what we had. Of course, this was just one system. You could also apply all of this what we did from the SSM as well, and that would of course make a whole thing a lot easier. And with that, yeah, I would say that's pretty much it from my side. And I would just like to say thank you for your time, and hope you had a good session. Thank you. Bye, everyone.